Hello, welcome to Kenty Primetime. Paul Kent here once again. Joining me yet again, the great Johnny Elias.
I'm glad to be, Paul. Special guest here today.
And our special guest today, the one and only Josh Mansour, mate. Very, very happy to have you in, mate. We're returning the favour. I did a podcast for you earlier this year.
Yes.
So returning the favour, mate. I'm really happy that you agreed to come on.
Mate, love to come on. Love you, Paul. Love you, Johnny. The only thing is, you got my size 13 shoes here, Johnny? Or
No, size 12.
Size 12. Okay. There's no shoes for this
Still
one.
at home, haven't been worn yet.
Mate, so you've been in the news a bit lately. You've been on social media.
Yeah.
You the Let's Trot podcast. It's there's a little bit of separation there now.
Yeah, well, I don't know why everyone's thinking that something's bad happened. Nothing's bad happened. All that's happened is just, the race is pretty much over with myself in the show. And, I was part of the show, which was an incredible year and a half, and hosting, co-producing, created something really special with the team. Yeah. And I thought it was time to kind of, part ways and do my own thing, and I was pretty keen on that from the very beginning. I was straight up with them about it, and they've been great. Jay, who's one of the part owners, Foxy, of course, and they're gonna do really well for themselves as well without me. So I just want to create something for myself, to be honest with you, now, which is unscripted now. I've got two formats at the moment. I'm doing a bit of a content series with Dry Arrow, New South Wales, Queensland, of course, and I'm still doing those one-on-ones, which I really love doing, learning about people's lives, their upbringing, their trials, tribulations, and it's been great so far. Yeah,
it was your decision. You just decided you basically wanted to go out on your own and make more money, basically. Didn't you?
No, I'm not making. Hey, the money hasn't been coming in just yet. You know what? If it does, that's great. But I love doing it, Kenty. I genuinely love and have a passion for. Meeting people, sitting them down, showing a different perspective to the viewers and audience. Because, as you know, like when, players or anyone in the spotlight gets a camera put on them, speaks to a journalist, 9 times out of 10, they're wearing a mask. They don't really get the true side of them.
Way to put it too.
So that's the whole idea why I wanted to get into podcasting, to kind of just give them a trusted platform where they can share their thoughts and feelings. And, again, with Let's Try, it's been great, but wanted to kind of do my own thing, and here we are. Yeah,
it's a bit of an experience too, because when I went on and did it with you, your audience is very different from my audience.
Completely different. Completely.
So, and you actually copped a bit of backlash over having me on, didn't you? Like a few people blowing up and,
to be honest,
weren't happy about it.
Mate, no, not really. Yes and no. Like you know what? Like, now, everyone has their own
opinion. I don't mind.
No, everyone has their own
I'm not a
opinions about
sensitive
people.
kind. Like I couldn't give a rat's, mate, to be honest.
You either loved or you hated.
Yeah.
And you know what? You could be a
but
saint.
We're different people in many ways, aren't we? From that, like we've always got on, which we spoke about on the show, but on your show. But we've always got on. We've always had a relationship, which has been respectful and all that. And to some people, that just didn't fit for them, so they didn't like that.
Oh, again, with fans in particular, like they're staunch loyal to their players, to their clubs. Like you're in a position where you need to have opinions and you need to say how it is. And you know what? If that's going against their club or their player, like they're going to do the natural thing and stand up for him, right? Which is going to put you as an outsider, or you're the enemy.
Or you're an antagonist,
Yeah, exactly. So you know what? I feel like part of my career, I was always the one never to ruffle a few feathers, or keep everyone happy. Don't be direct. Yeah, if I needed to hold someone accountable, I had my way of doing it. But I noticed maybe halfway from a career, you still get backlash no matter what. Like you could be a saint, mate. You could be Jesus Christ, and you're still going to get people that hate you. That's the reality.
Yeah, well, they did hate Jesus too.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. So you know what? You just got to live with it.
2024 in the podcast, Taylan May. I think you got criticised
for
having him on the podcast, and you had to make an apology. I don't understand why. Why?
More the timing, I think, Johnny. It's unfortunate because it was such a great podcast.
It was an amazing podcast.
Yeah, well, he was under investigation, and it was charged for domestic
currently
violence.
on charges.
Yeah, that was the problem.
And beat the charges.
He beat the charges.
But he hadn't at that point, John. That's the point.
But it took a lot of guts to get him on there.
Yeah.
While facing charges.
Yeah, and I kind of dropped the ball on that one, I'll be honest. Obviously, it was a serious charge, and I think all three of us can agree on that. But, I wanted to I did ask him the questions around that.
Yeah.
I think what kind of inflamed the situation was when we released the teaser, and it didn't really show I was asking him the questions. It was more hyping him up as a player, as a person.
Okay.
So I can understand the backlash with that, but yeah, it was a great podcast, and he did really open up. And we got to say how it is. Like he has the charges have been dropped.
Yes, they have.
He's still living with his partner.
Call with it in the end. Like he didn't face trial.
No,
his partner.
That was definitely.
I think she withdrew her statement.
Well, she's not allowed to. No, the coppers dropped the charges.
Oh, there you go.
She under that, that law. You're not allowed. The partner's not allowed to withdraw charges because it happens too often.
Yeah, you're right.
But the police
they can be coerced into it. Yeah,
they can be coerced. So
I didn't know that.
The fact was, so it's even more in his favour that the police dropped the charges.
Yes.
So
I'm so happy for the kid.
Good news, he's almost about to be back. Actually,
Yeah.
It looks
West
like
Tigers.
Well, he went out to look at South.
Yep.
And
I don't know what happened there. I thought
He wants to be with his brother. He wants to be with his brother.
I can understand
that's where it is. South offered him a train and trial,
Yeah.
which the Tigers have as well. But I think he just felt more an affinity. And to be fair, there's a few of the Blue Eyes at West Tigers now. So there's a couple of Polynesian guys from out that area.
They grew up together, of course.
Fainus, you know what I mean? Like they're originally from out that way as well.
Yeah.
So he probably just feels a little bit more comfortable. And given where he's coming from, that's fair call.
I totally.
I think he's made the right decision to go to the Tigers.
Without a doubt.
I think if he went to South, I think Wayne Bennett would have been an amazing character and role model for him.
Yeah.
He would have helped him along.
That's about
the way.
the only positive, or not the only positive.
It's a great positive. It's a great one.
Yeah.
He wouldn't know how to get the best out of him. It's anyway, but he's picked West Tigers, and we do wish him all the best. I think he's going to be great.
I think he's going to do really well for himself. Like we all know he can play footy. It was unfortunate that he had to kind of step away from the game, and what's happened to him has happened. But I think he's done all the right things to kind of get himself right, because I spoke to him in the podcast and I could tell that he had a lot of mental demons, and a lot of that stems from his childhood.
Yeah.
And he's a great guy. He's a gentleman.
We don't.
I think he's not everyone's cup of tea, especially when you look at him, like he kind of portrays a certain demographic. But end of the day, I got along with him really, really well, and hopefully he does well for himself at the Tigers.
The other thing is though, Josh, there's no one in rugby league. You talked about this a little while ago. See, in politics, if you're a political reporter and you've got a certain persuasion, whether you're left wing or right wing, you'll lean to a certain party. The other party will say if you lean to the right, all the left will dislike you, but the right will love what you write and say and all the rest of it. Problem with rugby league is we've got these 17 warring tribes at the moment, and it's inevitable that at some point when you're talking rugby league, you'll say something about a club that their fans won't like. Yeah. So in the end, you just upset everybody. You just get to that point because you just no clubs. I'll give you a really good example. When Melbourne won the comp in 2009, then they got rubbed out in 2010, and I supported them getting rubbed out because they were clearly cheating in cap. They'd done it deliberately. They tried to get away with it, and they got busted. Because they beat Parramatta in that 2009 grand final, Parramatta fans, they were loving me. Mate, get into them, mate, champion. That's what they did to us and all the rest of it. Now, Parramatta didn't deserve the premiership awarded to them. Some people tried to argue that, which is unfair, right? They shouldn't have allowed, because the team that Melbourne beat in the preliminary final had as much right to be in the grand final as what Parramatta did.
Of course.
But when Parramatta, what was it, about 14 or 15, 2014, 15, got caught busting, cheating the salary cap themselves. And again, I came out and said, look, not cool, and they should be not allowed to win the comp. Parramatta fans just turned like that. So 4 or 5 years earlier, I was their champion, good on you. But
years later,
all because it was the salary cap. They turned, and I get it. That makes no sense. You know what I mean? Like, it doesn't, because people the one thing about a rugby league fan,
it's emotion.
They're not rational. There's no rational thought whatsoever.
Exactly.
They just think with their heart. They don't think with their head, and you've just got to learn to live with it. And as an ex-player, like both of you, really, to be sitting there and having to sort of sit and pass comment now on, I imagine it must be times where you just sit there and think, oh, where do I sit here? Like, how much do you sort of sit there and be, well, I've got a job to do here now.
Yeah, it's an ongoing battle.
I'm also an ex-player.
Yeah.
So, and I'm part of the ex-player code, which is always praise.
I still try to come across a bit respectful. Like, I don't want to kind of just drag him through the coals end of the day, but you know, there are some players where they have come out, and you know what, I think I have done it in the past, where I have been a bit too critical on maybe a particular player or individual, and you know, at the end of the day, I used to be a player. Johnny used to be a player, so you kind of have to put yourself in their shoes sometimes and go, okay, if I was them, like, how would I feel if I saw this being said about me? So that's it. But again, it's the nature of the beast is now we're in media, so we get paid to have an opinion. But it's up to us how we deliver that. And we can decide on that.
Have you said though you've been times you've been too critical. Has there also been times where you look back and think, mate, I wasn't critical enough?
Not really. No, not really. Not really. To be honest,
Paul is projecting a little bit about himself, and it's a good statement he's just made.
Yeah.
I think that's what Paul's trying to say.
Not really. Not really.
Really?
Not really. Not overcritical. I'm trying to recall a particular situation, but maybe because I kind of trying to stay on this side of the fence a little bit more. But yeah, like. So I've definitely been overcritical sometimes. Definitely.
Yeah, well, that happens. I've done that myself, right? Countless times, okay? And you sit there and you peel back from it and you think, well, hang on. Probably a little bit
too harsh. I don't know if it's
too harsh,
yeah.
Or
not enough.
But by the same time, look, see, a lot of players particularly got this idea that we're there to be critical and to just be critical. That's all we want to be is critical. I've never seen it that way. I don't see my job to be critical. My job is, and you guys will appreciate this, there's a lot of bullshit that also goes on in rugby league. Yep. And there's a lot of deception for good intentions, but deception. Yeah. Players will do something and the club will, for a really simple one right now is the story about Tom Trbojevic. He's been carrying a cork thigh now for a month. Now, the story behind it is he's actually done his hamstring again. But because he's got this history of hamstrings and everyone goes, and he's done it again, they just didn't want to put it out there publicly that he's done the hamstring again because it just brings all sorts of criticism on him. So they've put it on, they've created a different injury around the same area, right? Now, that's fine. Okay, we get all that. But by the same token, your job, I think, here is to try and just be that gateway between the game that the people love and the people that love the game. And sometimes that's saying something or putting out a message or doing something that doesn't quite fit what the club or the players actually want said.
Yeah.
And that's difficult because you do get offside with people. But by the same token, you've got to be true to yourself in the job. You've got to be true to yourself sort of sitting there and talking to people. Like, one thing I don't do, like I have been, in my instance, charged with sort of, mate, I'll tell you something, but you can't write it or you can't say it, you can't write. And that's fine, okay? And I won't say that and I'll keep the confidence. But what I won't do is put out a fake narrative. Which sometimes they try to do. So, for example, if someone said to me, mate, he's done his hamstring, but just tell everyone he's done it's a cork thigh. I won't come out and say it's cork thigh. I won't talk about the hamstring. I have that obviously now because I'm not keeping the confidence of anyone. Okay, but what I'm saying is, that happens at times. And fans want honesty until they get honesty sometimes. You know what I mean? Like they want honesty, but they want honesty about other clubs. Not their club.
Of course not. Especially their star player.
Exactly,
Not their club, you're right.
I can understand what they're trying to do. And if they do release that he did his hamstring again, what's that going to do for their club and obviously Tom's?
Well, it's going to put pressure on him, isn't it?
Correct.
And it's going to put pressure on, given the fact he's also coming up for contract negotiation again, it's going to put a lot of pressure on that. Now, I feel sorry for Tom in that instance. Because what's happened there, he, what was it, a year or two ago, went to the NRL and said, look, I'll take a pay cut. Well, it took...
No, it's a dying breed, mind you, like players like that.
But he offered to take the pay cut to help put more players, buy more players at the club. The NRL refused it. Now, that was done out of the goodness of his heart. A lot of players do that, and there's a reward on the side where they pick it up on the side, so they're not going to really be out of a dollar.
I remember someone saying, or there was an article saying that the only reason he'd done that was because he spoke to the club's hierarchy and they pretty much approached him and said, we've got a bit of pressure salary cap-wise. Do you mind taking a pay cut? But at the end of the day, he didn't have that discussion. He actually wanted to do it on his own free will. But you see how he wanted to do something nice, but that kind of got twisted as well.
Well, and I can get why the NRL do it though, because
I
the
get it as
NRL
well,
can't
of
allow
course.
players,
No.
top paid players, to take a pay cut.
No point of a salary cap.
What generally ends up happening is creates room in the salary cap. Players get a little bit on the side. The clubs figure out a way to get on the
That's what
side.
it's allowing.
But with the one thing I'd say about both Tom and Jake, and I don't know Ben, but I'm sure he's of the same caliber, is that their intentions are pure there. Like they just love Manly to death. And if they had to take a pay cut, they would do that. Tom Brady he was never the highest paid player in the NFL. And he used to take under his worth because he wanted a line in front of him that could protect him, and he wanted players in the team that would help him win a championship. Now, in the end, that's come back in spades for him. He's won 7 Super Bowls. And his reputation as the greatest quarterback ever is just firmly entrenched. He will live off that the rest of his life. Now, if early in his career he'd said, you know what, I want to be the top paid player, I want this money, I'm going to take all this money out of the cap, instead of having 7 Super Bowls, he might have had 2.
Yeah.
And he'd be just in the mix with, Joe Montana and...
It's a good point you raised. It's a very good point, because when you see clubs pay a particular player, a marquee player, not overs, but what they're worth, but kind of top dollar. Success doesn't really come after that. Not very often. When you do Cowboys, they did with Tamalolo.
Yep.
They've been stars of success. Like, he's $1 million player, but have they reached the same heights they did when they won the grand final?
That was a bad deal for the Cowboys.
Exactly.
He was on a lot of money, and 10 years, for a decade, it's crippled their salary cap.
Kalen Ponga, he's their highest paid player.
Yeah, and they've doubled down now because they've got Dylan Brown going next year on over $1 million as well.
What it does for the short term, I can understand your point, Josh. What it does for the short term, big sponsors come on board. Right, we've signed a marquee player. So
and suddenly
we want to invest,
and it brings a hype, and that hype you can turn into money.
Thank you. It's a business.
You get that, but then you look at the
success. I totally
getting the results on the field.
I understand that.
It's a shortcut to success.
Yeah, like you look at Penrith,
it's generally not long-term success.
Yeah,
look at Penrith's dynasty.
Yeah, but they've got a big junior base, Josh. Come on.
But coming through
but
now,
go to Penrith to buy a player.
Well, the depth they've got coming through now. Does it replicate the players like a Martins, your Clearys, your Jeromes? Doesn't replicate those kind of players. And I feel like this was a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity that Penrith capitalised on.
I thought you were going somewhere else.
They do have a great nursery, no doubt about it. But the players that they had coming through, Jesus Christ.
Okay.
What's happened there, though, that Penrith is...
They capitalised as well.
And they had this nursery, and they had a very good production line.
For a certain
but what happened, and Wayne was Bennett was the bloke that sort of showed it. He sat there and they had all these players coming through, and everyone was waiting to get the first grade. Now, okay, let's pick this guy, and you're paying good money for those guys. So when Bennett took over the Dolphins, what did he do?
Katoa.
He went out and got Katoa.
Yeah.
Now, Katoa had been earmarked very early.
Yes, correct.
To replace Jerome Luai.
Yes, he was.
Because he was going to be Jerome Luai, they knew at some point, was going to command a wage that they wouldn't be able to keep him.
Yeah, makes sense.
So what they said was, so they had Katoa come through as the next guy ready. Now, he was only a year or two away from being ready.
Yes.
Wayne got in under their guard. So he went in to Katoa, who still hadn't played first grade, and paid him, at the time, it was an extraordinary amount to pay a kid that hadn't played any first grade. But obviously they don't, as Penrith had identified him, so are Wayne. So Wayne said, you know what, it's worth the investment. We're paying money up front. We're like front loading the contract here.
Still a gamble though.
But it is a gamble. But
Wayne
with some of them, it's worth the gamble, and clearly with Katoa it was. And that's what a few other clubs have now been doing with Penrith. They've been going out and they've been getting guys who haven't even got near first grade yet, but who are in that system, and they're being tracked into first grade, and they're probably still 2 years away from it, maybe 3 years away from it. But they're getting them now before Penrith can lock them all in.
Yeah. Canterbury did something very, very similar. Carl Oluwapu?
Yeah. But that didn't work out.
That didn't work
Josh
out.
and Paul, I just want your opinion on this. You're talking about nursery and the depth, okay? Perth and Papua New Guinea, are they going to come along and go, we're going to grab every best junior there at Penrith? Where is there enough players, Josh?
I think.
What do you think is going to happen?
My opinion, I think there's enough talent going around.
Yep.
I don't think there's enough talent in terms of coaches going around. That's my opinion.
That's a good idea.
Yeah, I feel like the Bears already got a system here in North Sydney. They've got the junior nursery there. They do have, I think in the SJ Ball, Haramats, I think it was called the Western Pirates, if I recall, back in my day anyway.
Okay.
So they had a nursery or pathway system in Western Sydney established back when I was playing like Harry Matthews or SJ Ball, right? So there is something there. They do have a footprint there. But that's why I believe that Mal is the perfect man for the job, because he is great in setting the foundation, the values, the pillars to create a strong culture and system. And what happens after there, where you obviously get a good support back staff.
Yeah.
And
I
you
know
got the team.
I know I'm going early, right? But I'll go. I reckon there's every chance those two expansion clubs are going to be a disaster.
Ooh. I think Perth will be a success. I think PNG I'm a bit sceptical on.
Well, I go the other way. I'm thinking because of the fan base, they'll pick. I think they'll pick from their locals. That's what I honestly believe.
Well,
with some good spine players coming
point.
from Sydney. That's what I think.
Melbourne,
no, I totally differ.
Melbourne have been
they're fanatical.
The premier club in the NRL for 20 years.
Yep.
I think the number right now is about 5 players in that 20-year period have come through as Melbourne juniors and played first grade. It's taken 20 years. They still haven't established breeding ground down there.
Yeah,
now, the problem I reckon the Perth Bears are going to have is, I don't know, I think the NRL really, and I'm surprised given that the NRL own the club, I don't know why the NRL is not coming out and ordering some sort of allowances for the team, whereas every club can insure or protect 4 or 5 players, but the rest are available. Something like that, like has happened in expansion leagues around the world. You look at the Dolphins. The Dolphins had 200 million in the bank or something like that. They had an enormous amount of money.
Yep.
They'd been in the Brisbane competition for since day one, for 80, 100 years, whatever it was. They had a vast junior nursery. They were the premier club in the Brisbane comp. It wasn't that much of a transition. They had Terry Reader, who's a long-term rugby league guy running the club. They got in Wayne Bennett, the premier coach, whose ability to attract players is second to none. And yet they still haven't made the finals.
I think that changes this year.
Well, it could change this year, but they still haven't made the finals. And they came in, and they had Wayne bringing in the Bromwich brothers. They had him getting Kafusi. They had a lot of good players. Katoa, the young half. They had Herbie Farnworth. They had a lot of good players. Internationals they were bringing in.
Correct.
And they still haven't made the finals. That shows you how difficult it is for these expansion clubs. Now, if you've got Mal over there, who, to be fair to Mal, hasn't coached for 20 years in the NRL, more than 20 years in the NRL, he's going to have to be absolutely spot on with his his recruitment guy, his general manager of football, whoever gets that appointment. That's got to be great. The other part, the Siglia, who's the new CEO, that's a disaster. Okay.
I don't know what's going on there.
Well, he's off with the media over there. He's a former high-profile media executive over there who had a bad ending with the media over there, and they just won't give him his due over there. Like, they won't give him any publicity. Anything he does well, he won't be publicly rewarded for it. Now, not that he wants a pat on the back, but that's important for the new team to be seen as successful.
For sure.
Now, he's already off with the media there, so they're already death riding him. So that's a disaster over there. And then he's got to come out, Mal and whoever's there has got to come out and recruit players, okay, where do they come from? I know they're going to have to offer overs to get people to go over there. They're going to be looking at older players who are looking for their superannuation package. They've got to be very, very careful. It has to be, letter perfect, their whole recruitment strategy. It's going to be very, very tough. It's going to be a lot tougher than what people are doing. And the worst thing that can happen is you get 2 years into their existence, and if they're just anchored on the bottom of the ladder, everyone's just going to go, whoa.
But I think Peter V'landys is smart. The 2 extra teams coming into the competition, broadcasting, Paul, the rights, he's going to sell it for a lot more. There's an extra
that's
game.
not going to help the clubs, John.
But it's going to bring money in. It's going to be that much. An extra game on Fox or whoever's going to buy it every week. Yeah, people want to watch around the world.
That's true. That's why it's. But what they've got to do, they've got to be given concessions.
He's looking at the money first, and then we'll build with that.
Yeah, well, yeah, but
country league. That's what I think he's looking at.
That.
He's a businessman.
Yes, there's an extra game to sell.
Yeah. But
the problem you're going to have is if the team's not winning. So one of the things when they started Melbourne Storm, and again, I'm old enough to go back when Melbourne Storm came in, and that had been even before they came in. the NRL and the game was flirting with whether to put a Melbourne team in.
Yeah.
1995, when they expanded the competition, they brought in the Cowboys, the Warriors, the Perth Reds. They brought in Perth before Melbourne, okay, and the South Queensland Crushers. So they brought in 4 new teams in 95. Melbourne, at the time, was not seen as a viable choice. Now, the Super League war happened. They started looking at the game differently, and they looked at it more from a geographical point of view. So we need teams in these spaces rather than in rugby league strongholds. And so that's why Melbourne was given a license to be part of the league. Now, but to do that, where they were very clever, is the Hunter Mariners fell over to make, to leave the Knights for themselves up in Newcastle. But all the good kids at the Mariners were basically told they were going to Melbourne. They weren't allowed to go and negotiate to go to another club. So they had Brett Camorley, Scott Hill. Like, they had some really good players. Richard Swain, the hooker. Yes, they had some really good players that went to Melbourne.
Yep.
And the Perth players, the good players out of Perth, when they got dusted, they were sent to the Storm as well. So they had a lot of help. Chris Anderson went down there as a coach. He left Canterbury to go down there and coach the team.
And won a premiership.
They've got it now. Mal's great from a PR point of view. Mal's going to be a great salesman for the game. Yes. He's going to be a great ambassador for the game. Mal's not the Kevin Sheedy that everyone thinks he is. Kevin Sheedy used to play the media off a break. Mal gets nervous in front of the media, so it's going to be a little bit of a different relationship that way. But Mal still has a presence about him that we've all seen and recognised.
He's an immortal. Yeah,
so Mal's going to have that, but Mal's going to need a lot of help. And that franchise is going to need a lot of help. And the worst thing the NRL can do is to just think it's all even Stevens, that the Perth Bears are going to have exactly the same chance as everybody else in the NRL to sign players.
Yep.
And then leave it to their own devices. If they sit there and they're 3 months or 6 months away from starting pre-season training, and they've only got 12 players, none of whom are household names or worse, even past it, it is going to be a big problem for the club.
I don't think that'll happen.
Well, pre-season starts in less than a year and a half.
That's it.
So time's not their friend at the moment. I think if they kind of follow the Melbourne Storm model, where they have partnerships within the New South Wales Cup, which they have, North Sydney Bears, of course, but then they also look to Queensland and get a partnership up there.
Yeah.
That will definitely help them.
Yeah.
But then the problem with that is logistics. So Melbourne only have to travel, their players only have to travel like an hour and a half, 2 hours to get to Queensland, right? Reggie players have to travel for 5-6 hours to get to the East Coast.
Yeah.
So that's going to be a drama.
Yeah.
But
not only that though, Josh, the other problem they've got is they come in and you say, you talk about development clubs at North Sydney Bears and finding a club in Queensland. They've only got a bit over a year to develop. The players, those kids, how many kids right now, even if they sign these kids right now, are going to be ready in 2 seasons, in a season and a half? Like it's going to be a tough ask.
I think they've done their homework, Paul. I think they know what they're doing.
Well, I think they're front loaded, John. I think it's all about the TV deal and the broadcast. Well, it is.
Brings the money in, but the money itself will develop junior league. But tell me this: the rights. When he sells the next rights, what is it? A 5 year? Is it 5, 7? What is it?
They're going through that right now, aren't they?
They're starting it. Yeah.
They're starting it. So you don't know if it's going to be a 5-year contract. You don't know.
We don't know. No.
Okay.
So that's up for negotiation, and it's going to be interesting, this one, because the NRL has always kept it fairly simple, as in there's got to be a certain amount on free to air because of the anti-siphoning laws.
Yep, that's right.
So you've got to have Origin has to be on TV, free to air, the internationals. And then you've got obviously the a certain amount of NRL games every week's got to be on free to air, okay? And I spoke to the NRL the other day about this, and I asked, because then the model overseas right now is they've split all those. That used to be the way they did it overseas, but for example, Amazon have come in and paid the NFL $1 billion, right, for Thursday night footy.
One night.
One game a week.
That is crazy.
And I think it's a 17-week comp.
Okay.
For one game a week, $1 billion, right?
Wow.
And they paid the NFL that. And so when I spoke to the NRL, I asked them if that's the possibility. And a lot of people are looking at that as far as is this our future as well? The belief is no. The NRL still think that they'll keep it pretty much as it is now. There'll be one pay TV provider, one free-to-air provider. But that can all change. That's all got to be part of the negotiation. So there will still be some on TV, but it could all break up. Now, they broke up overseas because they found they could make more money that way. Mm-hmm. At the moment, the belief is in Australia that keeping it together makes more money, because that's why you've got to keep Origin on Channel 9 with the home and away. Whoever has the home and away games, the premiership, has to also have State of Origin, because it's worth so much to them.
Okay.
So it's just it's the icing on top, but it brings in so much money as part of the broadcast deal. And I remember years back when there was talk about selling State of Origin separately to the Premiership. Channel 9 at the time basically said, well, the Premiership's only worth a fraction of what you're asking if you're not going to include Origin with it. So it's all going to happen. Like, there's no doubt there's going to be a lot more money in the game.
Yeah.
Oh, for sure.
But the problem's going to be whether there's going to be these two franchises. And again, it's two franchises coming within 2 years. And this is got to be how long? This is the third season for the Dolphins. So it's only 5 years. That would be 4 years coming after another team came in as a 17th club. It's a lot of players, and it's a lot of expansion, and it's a lot going on, and there's no doubt it's going to affect the quality of football.
We're talking about bringing another team in 2030, wasn't it?
Well, they're looking at trying to get it to an even comp again, so 20-team comp, because that was
10 games.
Politis' idea was always, and he's sort of been tipping to the NRL, Nick Politis, that they, if we're fair income about being a national code, we need to get to a 20-team comp. So that there's a hard drive to get to that. The problem is, I think, is that there's just not enough work being done at grassroots level.
I don't think so either.
Too much of this money, and this is going to upset people, but too much of the money that's coming into the game is going to the top end, and not the NRL's got to filter more money through junior football, and not only to the clubs in the junior nurseries in the country areas and all the rest of it. They've got to start putting in more systems. Like I'd really like the NRL to sit there, and when players retire or get near the end of retirement, rather than just them retire and go into a bodgy deal at the club as an assistant coach or something somewhere,
an ambassador or something.
Yeah, an ambassador. They turn up and cop their 150 a year to turn up in the private box 12 times a year. I'd like to see if they could start going back like it used to happen, where they go out and they pay guys, mate, we'll pay you to play another 2 years and captain coach in the bush.
Yeah.
And promote the game and build the game and take those sort of structures and that education that you've learned in rugby league, take it out there and put back into the game.
Yeah, it's a very good.
And the NRL need to start going there. Like I had a big blue with Icon, a little while back over junior football funding and the growth of the game
in Queensland.
Oh, well, he gave me all the figures and all the rest of it, right? I'm not going to sit, I won't attack him while he's not here, John.
Yeah, you can't.
But
let me do that, Paul.
I think he baffled me with bullshit, to be honest.
Oh, okay. A good politician.
But no, look, I think the country football's dying. Okay, I think junior footy's in a lot of trouble. I think there needs to be more funding into those areas
to get the kids back.
And particularly now, it's important. It's probably too late to give the Bears and the Papua New Guinea team a bit of a kickstart. They're not going to be ready in time for those guys. But certainly down the line, we need these guys. And you've only got to look at, for example, what Phil Gould's doing, right? When he got to Penrith, he invested in the juniors, turned him into the best junior nursery in the country. And Penrith have had this long-term success of players who've come through and been able to play first-grade footy. And obviously there's been some champions that have come through. But there's been also other players who've come through and been very, very good first graders, not quite at that champion status, but they've either won premierships or they've gone to other clubs and they've contributed.
Yes.
Okay, he's doing it now at Canterbury. He's shown the value of investing in junior football. That's the point. He's shown the value of that. And the NRL, as a governing body, is not doing enough of that across the country, particularly New South Wales and Queensland. AFL is spreading across both states.
And schools as well, particularly.
And schools, and we're not combating that enough because we're stuck in this fight at the moment. And my concern about the NRL is that they're so intent on winning the PR battle with the Players Association that every time more money comes into the game, it just goes into the salary cap.
Yep.
And look, the players, I think for some time have been well rewarded. The other part to it, though, is also when the salary cap goes from 14 million to 16 million, that extra $2 million, that doesn't get spread across 30 players, as you guys would know. That goes to the top 2 or 3 players.
Yes.
Okay, because they've got the bargaining power to ask for it. Guy number 28 on the roster, he's on minimum wage.
Yep.
If that's not put up, he doesn't get an extra dollar out of that $2 million boost in the salary cap. The NRL's got to sit there and actually understand that the players, it's a captive audience there, that they can't go elsewhere and play. It's not like soccer where they can go and find another league to play in.
Yeah.
And so we need to start putting back into investment in junior footy.
I totally agree. I think participation numbers need to go up. I'm not sure about country rugby league, but domestically, having a rugby league academy, I can see like back when I played, we'll have like a 10, 11 team comp, just Canterbury. Yeah. Right now, what I'm saying is you have like maybe 3 Canterbury teams here, maybe 4 Cronulla Shark teams there, maybe 3 Balmain teams, and you put them together.
Put them all together, yeah.
But like we never used to have that before, so it just obviously clearly shows that participation has dropped. Yeah, correct. So investment needs to go back into
We need to
junior
invest
rugby
quickly because the good thing about it, boys, it does work. But the bad thing is it's going to take time. So we need to hurry up and start investing.
They've got to get going now.
And they've got to do it now. Got to do it now.
Particularly with these 2 clubs, which I think is going to be too late.
I think the Dragons are doing something. I think they're kind of giving funding themselves to junior rugby league clubs in the Dragons catchment. And they'll be silly not to because they've got 2 areas to cover. They've got the Illawarra district and then they've obviously got St. George Cogra area. So they've got a big nursery themselves. They need to capitalise on that.
Illawarra has always been a massive nursery. It's always produced good players. It was always just a really high quality league, the Illawarra Junior League. And they always, the Bob Fulton, Changalangans, they came out of there, you know what I mean? The
Tigers as well. Tigers got all of Campbelltown to choose from. Jesus. Yeah. And then you've obviously got Balmain. So the only problem with the Tigers and the Dragons is they're 2 completely different identities, constant infighting within the club at a hierarchy level. Yeah. You've got, are we too much Illawarra? Are we too much St. George? What are we? Yeah. And that's the same with the West Tigers. Well, it's not enough black and white. Or there's not enough orange. You got Balmain, you got West Tigers. And it happens every single year.
Problem with St. George Illawarra is the Gordons own half the club with St. George. They own the Illawarra half of the club. Now, because they are their own businessmen, they don't spend a lot of money. They don't want to spend a lot of money there.
Correct.
Now, what happens then, though, is the St. George side say, look, we need to spend this money. The Illawarra side, no, we're not going to spend it because they're more running as a business than a strive for success. Yeah. So then the St. George side get the shits and say, well, if you're not going to spend it, we're not going to spend it because we'll only spend what you're going to spend. So not the money needs to be spent.
Not a collaborative effort.
No, that's a real problem.
Josh, I love this bloke. He's so humble. No, he's humble and he doesn't like talking about himself, but I want to talk about you.
Oh, thanks,
This
John.
show is a little bit going to be about you. Let's go back. Hold on. June the 17th, that's next week.
That's my birthday.
There you go, son.
Did you at least give me a cake?
Did
you give me shoes?
That'll come next week.
Cake
Josh,
mail.
Your junior league, who'd you play for?
St. John's Rugby League. Played there for 7 years in the Canterbury district and trained out of Punchbowl there. And
hold on. Did you say St. John's Lakemba?
Yep, St. John's Lakemba.
I played there as well. Okay.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, I did.
Oh.
You played at a lot of clubs, though.
Yeah. I was a Canterbury junior. Josh,
what was that? Why did you play at a lot of clubs?
Oh,
come on, John, answer that.
Josh, we're talking. This is about you today. What school did you go to? So if you played for St. John's, did you go to St. John's Lakemba?
Yeah, which is now Holy Spirit College. So it was, I think, St. Mary's, which was a girls' school.
At Lakemba. I went to St. John's Lakemba as well.
Yeah.
Did you know I was school captain?
Were you?
Well, self-appointed, of course.
Of course.
Anyway, about you. Okay. Your junior league for Canterbury.
Yep. 1 year, Kingsgrove Colts as well.
And Kingsgrove Colts. Okay.
1 year.
Okay. You made your debut in 2012. And how'd you get there? To Penrith.
Yeah, so how it all started, I'm seeing this big bear here, so that's a bit nostalgic for me. I started at the North City Bears.
Okay.
So I was 19, had no club, no interest from any club, and I saw an open tryout at TJ Milner Field in North Ryde, which the North City Bears was.
So you actually trialled?
I trialled, yeah. It was, I think there was 3 15-minute games maybe. Mate, there was like probably 150 players there. Mate, I turned up with my mum. and everyone turned up with their mates. Everyone's having oh mate, it was a bit embarrassing, but anyway, I rocked up, put my application in, and played 2 games at fullback. And Wayne Lampkin, I think he's at West now, reserve grade. He was the head coach for North Sydney Bears at the time. Souths were the affiliate club. Yeah. And he said, don't play the 3rd game. And in my head, I'm thinking to myself, oh, here we go. Like, straight away, negative thought. I wasn't good enough, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, it goes to name the players that got picked, and I was the first one picked. And I think it was maybe 6 players that got an opportunity to have a preseason with Norths. And
How good.
Got that opportunity, played 2 trial games, one against Wyong Roos, and then the second one was against Canterbury. And Canterbury were an absolute stacked reserve grade team. I don't know if you recall, back in the 2008 to 2010 and 11, they just kept on winning the premiership in the reserve grade level. And they had very strong depth. Played really well in that game, scored a try, set up at a try. We beat them. Got some people talking, and Mark Hughes, who was the recruitment manager at Souths, gave me an opportunity. He either said, do you want to keep playing against men, playing reserve grade, stay connected with the club, or did you want to be more closer with South Sydney and get an opportunity at playing Holden Cup under 20s? And or Toyota Cup, I should say. And then I decided to go to Souths, and my journey started there. I played Junior Kangaroos in 2010, got Team of the Year, but I didn't get the opportunity to jag an NRL contract. We had a pretty good team. Adam Reynolds got one, Nathan Peets, Matthew Mundine, Anthony's nephew, James Roberts, Dylan Farrell, Kane Morgans. They all got opportunity, but I only got a train and trial.
Yeah.
And 2011 came around, and Madge was coming as a coach, and I think they were deciding to pick either Everingham. Remember Everingham? He played on the wing. I think he came from West Reserve grade, and he ended up playing first grade in 2012 for Souths, or it was me. And they decided to go with Everingham, and I remember having a meeting with Gus, and mate, it was the first face-to-face meeting, and I said yes on the spot, and I signed to go to Penrith.
You know, Paul, magnificent achievement. I'll tell you why. This is a kid who'd gone to trial, not invited, on his own free will, had to sign his name, played a grand final with Penrith, State of Origin, played for Australia, and played for Lebanon. That's a magnificent achievement.
Thanks,
Not, mate, great career. Tell me, I want to ask you.
A bit of a slide indoors moment as well. Like, if
mate,
I didn't get picked, who
magnificent,
knows
magnificent. Through hard work and discipline, and I know that because they coached you years ago. I want to know when you played for Australia and you played
Don't bury the lead, John.
When you played for Australia,
tell us
Josh,
where you coached him for Lebanon.
We'll go back there later.
Josh, Josh's version.
You firstly played for Lebanon, but then you played for Australia, then Lebanon again. What was the feeling for 2 different countries? Because Australia was your birth country, of course, and your mother country is Lebanon. Yes. I just want to know the feeling.
2009. I had a very strong sense of belonging under you, John, to be honest with you. It was a bit of an eye-opener because I never went to my father's place of birth and where he was brought up. And to go there and to really connect there was pretty special. I met relatives that I've never met before in my life, uncles and aunties, and I'll never forget the emotion and the feeling. Like, I was 19 at the time, and essentially I was meeting a complete stranger, but it felt like I've known him my whole life. It was very weird feeling, but something that I felt very strongly connected to. And you did a really good job to really teach me about our heritage, not only me, but obviously the team, getting out, experiencing the culture. So that was a very special experience for me, which I never experienced in my whole life. 2014 was when I first put the green and gold jersey on, which was something really special for me as well, because I feel like the pinnacle in my eyes is to represent your place of birth.
Absolutely.
I think, being Australian, maybe I'm biased, I don't know, but I think it's the best country in the world. I feel like we have a bit of a sense of entitlement here because we got it that good. But yeah, it was a completely different feeling. I don't know. It's just the way I felt more connected playing for Lebanon. I don't know why, but at the same time, I felt extremely proud to be able to represent Australia, not only because it's the highest honour in the sporting world, but also it's my place of birth, and it's something that I'm very outspoken about and very proud of.
So you played John was coaching Lebanon.
Yeah. That was the first time I met John. Yeah.
Go on.
No,
tell him about the game against Scotland.
No, I'm getting to that. Let me get to that.
Go on, tell him.
I got my debut jersey off, obviously, John. And I actually got my last representative jersey off John as well. So I've come full circle, and John has been a very important figure in my life. And I also remember he brought in Hazem El Masri, who was one of my idols growing up, and he got him to come in and present us a jersey as well, which is very special. And we played against Italy first game in Beirut, and that was fun. Let me actually rewind a bit. So we were meant to train, and we obviously played out of a stadium in Tripoli. Anyway, we turned up for our first session in Lebanon, and mate, you've got soldiers running around the athletics track. You've got I don't know if it was the national team for soccer, but there was a soccer team training on the field where we were meant to train. And then there was an argument between our faction and the soccer faction, and mate, it always broke out in a gunfight. We're like, what's going on here? You got the soldiers with full armed assault rifles on the sideline. I'm like, this is going to kick off. I'm shitting myself. And mate, us Lebanese, there's one thing for certain. We are as passionate as they come, right? And maybe too passionate, not as rational. And
that's it. I like the way you put that.
Yeah.
Not as rational,
Yeah, and anyway, we end up playing. Game day comes around. We play against Italy. We smack them 86-0. I think it was at halftime the lights went off. Mate, someone wasn't paying the electricity bill. And and then we've gone to Scotland. And this was another experience.
So this is all part of the World Cup qualifying, wasn't it?
Yeah, Four Nations.
Four Nations
We're meant to
qualifying.
be the fourth team, so we're qualifying for that fourth spot. So you've got England, New Zealand, and Australia, of course, and then it's either a Northern Hemisphere team, which we're all part of that, or a Southern Hemisphere team. So you got mainly your Pacific nations, Cook Islands, PNG, Fiji. You need to win all three games. So we won the first game. We're coming up against Scotland. Mate, I got struck with not Bali belly. Mate, this is Beirut belly. This is something entirely different and completely worse, mate. Mate, I was in all sorts, and I think you copped it as well on the flight to Scotland.
You've got a great memory, Scotty.
I
was in all sorts.
Poor Johnny's at the front of the plane. Can I say as well, all the players were stuck in economy at the back of the plane. Johnny was first on the plane, and we're walking past business.
Josh,
he's got his feet up.
Josh,
he's all laxed up.
Josh,
I'm like, anyway, he doesn't acknowledge us. He's just on his phone. Like,
Paul knows this. I've got special needs, mate. I need to be comfortable mentally, physically.
Mate, I don't know how comfortable it was because you were crook pretty bad. So we got to Scotland, and mate, the conditions were absolutely horrendous. It was blowing a gale. Come on game day, the field was absolutely flooded. You couldn't even see the sideline.
Should never have been a game.
Mate, it should never have been a game. It should have been called off. It was minus, what was it? It was freezing. And
balls.
We come into the sheds after a warm-up. And, mate, the one thing we definitely need is a rev up because the conditions are bloody awful, right? Everyone's shivering in there. Anyway, Johnny thought it was a great idea to get us all in a huddle. And he's like, mate, I just want you to close your eyes, bow your heads, and just really immerse yourself and think about this song. Really connect here. He decides to play. Time to say goodbye. Time to
That was by Sarah Brightman and Andre Bocelli. I love it. I love him, and I love.
I don't know if they hit the mark because they definitely did. We were half asleep when we went out there.
Yeah. So Johnny was into it, and everyone else was looking at each other going,
well, I was one of those guys. So I'm 19. I'm like, what the fuck is going on here? I'm like, kind of looking around, and I'm not the only one. I'm seeing other boys looking around, and you see John just up here, and he's got goosebumps. His hair, or whatever hair he had at the time, it was.
Hair.
But yeah, I did score the first try. I almost killed myself because I took out the bloody camera. But we ended up getting beat, and
but we won the next game.
We won the next game convincingly. We beat Ireland, but
in dry conditions. Yeah,
it was a hell of a tour.
We've had some fun, Josh, haven't we?
It was a great tour. Great tour. Mate, you're a great coach.
What's it like touring with a side like that though? Like
A-grade players.
Yeah.
Not many first-grade players. Tell them, Josh.
Yeah,
it's totally different, Paul.
Who were I think the only first-grade player was George Nadira.
We the two Robinson twins.
We had the Robinson twins. Of course. Reece Robinson, Travis.
Yeah, they weren't.
They were. Reece played, I think, was at the Broncos at the time.
Yeah.
Travis, maybe Cronulla.
Yeah.
But we didn't have that much talent going. There wasn't much going around. Like we had obviously Robbie Farah, but he was playing for Australia.
Who played Four Nations that year? Did Scotland get all the way through? Or
Scotland got through.
What
happened to them in that?
But then they called it. It wasn't on the following year. They called that off. See, we were playing for a position, but it didn't go ahead. So
So how did you advance though? Like, so you like if you've gone for train and trial and all that sort of business,
It's amazing story.
And you get to South, and you go to Penrith. Like, what kick-started you to go from a bloke that no one had, respectfully, no one had noticed?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because generally, by the time you're your age, if you're 19, you got managers all over you. Every kid these days, with any sort of hint of ability, has got managers all over them. They're pushing them on to clubs. Clubs already know who they are. You've snuck through all that. You've ended up at South. You've had a stint at South. Then you've gone to Penrith. Like, why were you undiscovered, or did something happen that your
I know what happened.
Improvement went so quickly?
I can be the first one to admit that I wasn't the most talented kid coming through. I didn't have the flair, the sidestep, the 20-meter cutout pass to the winger. I didn't have all that, but I did have work ethic, and that was one thing I definitely relied on to try and outwork every single person, not only on the training paddock but on the footy field. And I feel like if you have that as one of your core values, you can develop as a player.
Yeah,
we all say it. You just need to work hard at anything, and you'll pick up things as you go. So definitely, I always had that. But mate, don't get me wrong. There was a bit of luck in there. Like I just saw this. Everyone needs a bit of luck. I saw this tryout, and by chance went there and played well, shined on the day, and got an opportunity, and everything just progressed from there. I wanted to stay at Souths. Like, I'm a very loyal person, and I wanted to be a Souths player for my whole career because they've shown faith in me from the get-go.
Yeah.
And obviously in the I don't know why, but after 2010, maybe I wasn't in their plans, or that maybe they invested in other players that they thought was going to kickstart a bit more. And I can understand that. 2011 comes around, I did you know what? A part of me is my fault as well, because I feel like I didn't really deserve to be there. Like, I'm around guys like Sammy Burgess, John Sutton, Dave Taylor, Chris McQueen, Reece Wesser,
Cody.
Cody wasn't there at the time. Adam Reynolds as well. I'm in that first grade team, and I probably felt I didn't belong in my first year there, which was part of my fault, and I didn't really play that well. And I was coming to training. I wanted to just train with first grade to learn as much as I can, just to kind of immerse myself, because I believed I was a first grader. And I was coming, I was obviously working, and I was taking days off work to come down and train with the boys and be an extra number. And end of the year came, and I wasn't part of their plans, which was fair enough. No hard feelings there. But, Penrith showed interest in me. They believed in me. And when Gus Gould, with the influence he has in the game, believes in you, geez, that gives you an extra leg. So, mate, for me, it was a no-brainer. Yeah. And I was at a crossroads, right? Because Penrith was kind of similar to me. Like, I was almost like rebuilding myself again. And I'm like, this is a perfect opportunity for me to shine. But I didn't know when I signed with Penrith, mate, we had like 50 plus players turn up day one of preseason. And the outside backs, mate, we had so many players. We had Sandor Earl, Michael Gordon, David Simmons, Junior T. Khalifi, Etu Uasili, Malachi Watini-Zelezniak, and me. And I was like, fuck. Like, I'm like, geez, how am I going to get a starting spot here? But that was my problem was at South, because like week in, week out, I was like, okay, maybe it's my turn. Maybe it's my turn. Instead of just worrying about myself and just focusing on my own form, which I did at Penrith. And then round, I think it was 8 or 9, I debuted against Melbourne and didn't look back.
Josh, I'll tell you what, this is just my opinion on your career. Yes, you played for Australia Origin, but you had something a winger didn't have at that time. I think he was innovative, Paul. His kick returns, he'd have the second phase. And that's so important. And he was hungry for work. He'd take the ball up the second tackle, the fourth tackle. That's what made him stand out from the other wingers. And the closest I've seen to that now, that sort of player who's got the second phase, is another Lebo, Jacob Carraz. Similar games.
Tortor as well.
Yeah, but he hasn't got the offload like you. It is so important. You got the kick return, meter eater, and you got the second phase ball. That kills the defence.
That was
did anyone tell you about? That was just your game.
That was just natural,
and that was beautiful.
That's
what got you to play for Origin in Australia, I believe.
When I first, so I was fullback first, and then I got transitioned to wing.
That's right.
And I was kind of maybe that's helped me the way I've played as a winger, because like as a fullback you got to roam both parts of the field. Yeah. You got to look for work, right? So that obviously adapted my game as a winger, but I also I took personally that winger was just another number, and you just stay on the sideline and you
were
wait for the ball.
work,
Yeah. So I took that personally, and the way my game developed was just natural. Like I wanted to take as many carries as possible. I took it upon myself to get the team set started.
Oh, so it's so important for wingers.
Yeah, I thought that was an area in my game where I can kind of really shine and I guess be a point of difference.
Yeah.
And now it looks like it's, one of the key attributes for a footy team, especially coming out of yardage. Your outside backs need to own that play one, play two.
Absolutely.
To get your team on the front foot. And you see with Penrith, like they've been doing it for decades, or almost 20 years now. You see it with Canterbury now, the way they're playing. You see with the Melbourne Storm, their back three there. The Broncos got a big back three besides Reece Walsh, of course. But it looks like the game has changed definitely in terms of a winger's role.
Yeah, and you played a big part in that. I've got no doubt, Paul.
Thanks, mate.
No doubt.
How fast was the improvement for you though through the grades? Like when you got picked for Origin, did you get picked for Origin before Australia or
Correct.
Australia?
Oh no, I got picked for Australia in 2014, and then I played Origin 16.
So when you got picked for Australia, what were you thinking then?
In 14, wow, yeah,
that
like
would
things
have
happen.
been 4 years earlier.
Coach,
4 years earlier, you're trialing.
Sheens,
yeah.
Things were just happening so quick, Paul. Like I wouldn't even. It was hard to really reflect, especially when you're playing in the NRL. While you're in it, you're part of the machine. Like it's very hard to like pat yourself on the back and go, like I actually achieved that. Like because it's just things are just constantly moving, and it's just very hard to immerse yourself and be, like be present.
Yeah.
Really. It's very very hard. And when that happened, like I was coming off, like I had not many people know this, but that year in particular, my right shoulder was fully busted. Like it was subluxing in and out of games, and Penrith did me a rock solid. Like I needed off-season surgery, and they said, you know what, like to play for Australia, we're not going to take that honour away from you. So they allowed me to play in that 14 Four Nations series, and then I got my operation after. But it was very hard to actually, like acknowledge what I achieved at that moment of time.
When did that hit you then? Like what period of your life did you sit back and just go, you know what, I actually did it. I played for Australia. I played Origin. When did the moment hit you?
When I retired.
Do you remember that happening now? Like, do you remember sitting back and just thinking, wow?
I remember the day when I first came to the conclusion that I was going to retire, and I was pretty reluctant to retire, to be honest with you, because I still felt like I had a bit in me to play on, and the last couple of years playing, I left a bit of a sour taste in my mouth. Not only that, the opportunity to go overseas was on the cards. I didn't want to kind of uproot my family, because playing professional sport, your team is first. Everything else comes after that. And I felt a bit selfish because I wasn't putting my family first, which you should do. Putting your kids, your wife, and whatnot. But I also had a couple opportunities to have a couple of training trials at Parramatta and the Dragons. And I'm like, I spoke to a couple of close people in my circle, and I'm like, this is what's come up. And they're like, Josh, why are you lowering yourself like that? You shouldn't you shouldn't accept a training trial deal. And I'm like, you know what? I'm going to agree. I'm just going to come to grips with it. I'm just going to say it. I'm just going to retire. I'm just going to accept it for what it is. And that's when I actually sat myself down and just started really reflecting and looking back in my career, and just, I've never been the type of person to really pat myself on the back. I don't think any footballers are, like I feel like it's a bit of, not arrogant, but maybe, I don't know what it is. I don't know how to explain it, but I think we all like that, right? Like we don't like to give us a bit of a pat on the back from time to time. And I guess when I retired was when I really reflected and was happy with what I achieved.
The Josh Mansour now, post-retirement, the Josh Mansour, where do you get this high? Where do you get like the pat on the back when you've scored a try? Where do you get the pat on the back when you've made the big tackle? Where do you get the pat on the back when you've taken a loose ball, 90-meter try? Where do you get that now? Where do you get that buzz?
That's a very good question, Johnny. Like I get
a lot of players struggle with this.
I'll never get the buzz that rugby league gave me elsewhere. That's the reality, and you got to accept that.
Yep.
Do I miss the feeling? 100% I miss the feeling, but I get different feelings now. Like I'm getting feelings that I'm experiencing with my kids as they grow, and I'm
Beautiful.
acknowledging their milestones, and that's what's filling up my cup now.
Yeah.
Getting the opportunity to still be involved in the game as well. Like I haven't really separated myself. Like I really love rugby. I really love sport, but rugby league, like it's been my life.
It's great you've said that, Josh.
It's given me the platform. It's given me my livelihood. It's given me the opportunity to buy my home, buy myself a car. Man, I grew up in like housing commission, mate, like in a little shoebox. Like the chances of me being successful in life were very slim. And what rugby league and what the NRL has given me as a person, I'll be forever grateful for that. So, you know what? I'll never get that feeling in terms of like running out to the screaming fans, scoring a try, watching old games brings back that old emotion. Watching some games now, I'm like, wow, like I can imagine what that must feel
I've said
like.
all this because I know a lot of players post-retirement, they suffer depression, and a lot of things go through their heads. They're not the same people. You see them and there's just something missing because they miss all that.
I think as well the camaraderie as well. Like,
there's a lot of things involved.
That's a big part of it, and I think having a podcast helps me as well because I get to meet, talk to players, if they're friends, if they're strangers, I still have that human interaction. So that's been quite important, and that's helped my my life post footy.
I'm sure you agree, Paul. He's got to showcase what he's done in rugby league. For someone, just don't give up. Just don't give up. By him not giving up and going to a trial game, like I said earlier, he played Origin, he played grand final, and he played for Australia. That's an amazing.
Well, you always have
feat.
John with that. You always have
amazing.
The decision always is on you, right? Like you either can let that get the best of you, and you know what, call it a day. I'll throw in the towel. This is too.
And
much
a lot
for
of
me.
people have done that.
Or you take the other approach and go, you know what, I'm going to work harder until I actually achieve that, and that's not only in sport, but that's in life in general.
Of course.
So yeah, there's definitely a lot of learnings out of that, but for me, I just was so adamant. I believed it to my absolute core that the NRL was my kind of ticket out of the life I was living, and I wanted to achieve a dream.
Amazing, Paul.
I just didn't take no for an answer.
What did you do when you were discouraged?
Don't get me wrong. There were times where as a kid, as a junior, like, I was down when I didn't get those rep sides. I didn't get picked for Haramats. I got overlooked for SG Ball.
Yeah.
And that hurt because I remember there was one moment when in SG Ball I got asked to come into the squad, and I rocked up to I'll never forget. It was clear as day. I rocked up to Belmore, and by chance I saw the coaching staff walking in the car park, and I approached them, and I had my my backpack. I'm like, oh, where do I go to drop my bag and get ready? And they looked at each other in a bit of shock, and they're like, oh, sorry mate, but bit of change of plans. Our squad's full, but we forgot to reach out and call you and tell you the news. And for a 17-year-old, that was crushing. I remember I walked back to the car where my mum was parked in the car park, and I just bawled my eyes out.
It also made you hungrier.
And that was the other thing. That was more that just added fuel to the fire. I can't wait to prove these people wrong. I cannot wait. And that was the moment I decided I'm leaving Canterbury comp, and I went to Kingsgrove. Didn't work out at the Dragons. I didn't get a look in there either, but another opportunity came, and that was trialing with Norths, and that's when everything.
Rest is history.
The rest is history. So I've got an academy now, and I see players. Some of my players, if they don't get picked in development squads, they don't get picked in Haramats. I can relate to the feeling that they. I understand the feeling of not getting picked. I get it.
So you've got an academy, you're saying?
Yeah.
Tell us about that.
Yeah, it's something that that's another thing where I get my my cup filled is it's something that I'm truly passionate about because I didn't get that opportunity to train with a first grader coming through the ranks. I didn't get someone to ask questions about kind of relate to as well the emotions I was feeling.
Yeah.
So that's something that I'm doing right now. I don't only train the kids, but I also mentor them. I had a kid the other day that didn't get picked for development, and I still can relate to him and put his arm around him and just give him the faith and the courage to keep persevering because,
of course,
I didn't make it either. I'm an example of that. There's players out there that didn't debut till they were 25, 26. Cody Walker is a big example. Yeah. So there is still time. You're still very young, but then again, I get players where I had a kid. He trialed at different schools and his parents don't make that much money. They struggle a bit and they're looking for a scholarship, and they called me and getting quite emotional thinking about it when I got the call.
Mm.
But his kid got picked. Their kid got picked to get a scholarship for Endeavour, and I was just like I just had that special connection and moment, and why am I getting emotional? Wow.
Because you care, mate. You
yeah.
care.
So for me, like I really, really genuinely care about their futures and hopefully achieving a dream that I once did. So
that's beautiful,
Yeah.
Josh. That's beautiful. But Josh, we can't let you go just yet. Paul, it's been a great show. I really appreciate what you've done. It's a really good show.
Yeah,
for getting him on.
well, Paul's done what he's done as well is
He's
unbelievable.
amazing. But this 3 questions I ask every ex-footballer that comes on here or current.
Yeah.
In all the years you played this beautiful game, who was the biggest pest?
That's easy, man.
Oh,
Cody Walker.
Pest, eh?
Oh, Cody Walker, Adam Reynolds, pest. Mate, where do I start?
In what way they pissed?
What way?
Adam is just relentless. Like he's just like that little short man syndrome. He's just like, mate, what a player can I say? But
we know
Jesus Christ, in the locker room, mate, just pranks nonstop every single day. Like we'd come off a loss and he'd still like he'd just still be a prankster. Like he would never be down. He's never down.
Yeah.
He's never ever down.
Prolonged his career, maybe.
And
who was the funniest?
Myself.
You're the funniest? Okay.
Oh, by far.
We've
But
never had
I
anyone
was
say
like,
themselves,
I was
have
the
we, Paul?
butt of everyone's joke, but I also was like chief and executioner when it came to like invoking team punishments. Oh, geez, mate. We used to have.
What's the best punishment you gave it?
We didn't have the 10 commandments, but we had Sauce's 10 punishments.
Oh, no.
So we had 2 dice. It was actually 12 punishments. But we used to like roll the dice, and it used to get everyone in together. And I don't know how, but whenever I used to accuse someone, it'll be like a false accusation, and then it will be turned on me, and then I'll have to roll and
Roll the dice.
I copped every single punishment, from fake tans, from having to
Fake
wear a
tans.
suit.
I
for
don't
a
think you'd be
week.
hard pressed to get a fake tan.
Mate,
though,
there
to
is
be
a
honest.
game. There was a game. We played in 2020 against the Dragons out in Cogra. Mate, I was that tanned. It was a shocker. Like I'll
We're going to
never
get
forget.
footage of that, Hugo.
You'll see. Oh, there's photos. I'll send them to you.
So you got a fake tan
I had to fake tan from head to toe, ultra dark tan. Mate, I looked Polynesian.
before a game.
Before a game, and it was running into my eyes. It was a disaster.
That's
It was a disaster.
That is gold, Paul.
But the best of the best
Yeah.
team punishments I invoked was the nude gauntlet, John. You would have loved this. You would have loved to be a part of this.
Talk to me.
So the person that was getting punished had to strip butt naked.
Yeah.
Everyone's got like either a stretch strap or a shoe or a sandal, and you're just getting spanked
Oh,
one end
no.
to the other, and mate, it was carnage.
Ooh.
It was carnage. It was.
Yeah,
it
this
was
one's
absolute-
my favourite, and I think this will be your favourite.
You might have to self-admit
Who
it.
actually, of all the players
Yeah.
in the clubs, who magnated towards the mirror? Who loved it? Gravitated towards the mirror, looking themselves in the mirror. Besides yourself, Josh, who was? Who was?
Who was the biggest pretty boy?
Yes, who loved the mirror after a training session, before a game?
Let's think.
Because,
There's a few.
because we had Brasher on here weeks ago, and before his first grade debut, you know what he did? He was on the bench. He was coming off the bench, and he got the signal, you're going on. Out of his bag, he pulled out
Out
the
of his
brush.
sock.
Out of his sock.
Wait.
He pulled out his brush. Tim Brasher pulled out his brush and combed his
There
hair.
was another player.
No, I want to know who loved the mirror.
Mate, I'm just gonna claim myself, mate. It's me.
Oh,
It's
2
me.
out of
It's
3.
me.
Oh,
It's
mate, I
me.
knew that.
Oh, this is a good
too.
show, Paul.
It's me. I'll admit it.
Yes,
Like, you know,
gel.
like-
Was there gel involved?
Not gel. I didn't go
Okay.
that far. I didn't go
Okay.
that far. But you know,
He's heavy into the
skincare.
manscaping. Look at him.
Yeah.
Any
Skincare. You know.
Anyone
But saying
get
that,
close?
I'm big on hygiene. You know, you got to be big on hygiene.
Hygiene's got nothing to do with looking in the mirror. Yeah.
Mate, there was. I got to mention. I'm gonna throw this in there. I know this is not part of your questions,
Go
but
on.
like the guy that with the worst hygiene ever
You
was
can't
Liam
say.
Martin.
Really?
Mate, he was. I used to call him Lord of the Rings.
Liam Martin.
Lord of the Rings, because he was the king of the ringworm. So
Oh
ringworm.
my God, Liam.
So ringworm
Ooh.
is a fungal condition where you get rings all over your body, mate. They could be 20 cent, 10 cent pieces.
Don't. Oh,
But there was one player,
I'm
not
cringing.
Liam Martin, it was Liam Knight. He used to have a bit of mullet, but once he shaved that off, mate, he had the ring. I've never ever seen it. Mate, it was unbelievable. It was the size of his head. That's how big this ring
And
was.
he's dating one of Paul's friends. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh.
So, yeah,
one thing
hygiene's very
about
important.
us, Lebos, Josh, we're very hygienic.
We are, aren't we?
All of us.
Yes.
That's a great thing. Paul, if you don't mind, and you too, Hugo, over there. It's been a great show, Paul.
Yeah, mate, it's been great.
It's
Thank
been
you for
unreal.
coming in,
We
mate.
loved it,
Really
Josh.
Oh,
Thank you
mate,
so
I loved
much.
it. I loved it.
So,
I love what you guys are doing. Lebanese Rambo over here. You
Yeah,
love
thank
it.
you.
It's
Yeah,
good
yeah,
to see.
yeah.
Mate, can I say, Paul? I don't know how you got him on the show. To be honest with you,
I don't know either. I don't know either.
You're a left field option. Do we agree on that?
He's been begging me for 12 months.
No, I haven't. And that's the honest truth, Josh. I said, who are you going to get on the podcast? I'm pushing for him to get a good co-host. Just one day out of the blue, he says, you're going on. I said, I think you've made a mistake here. I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know how I'm doing. He says, John, trust me. I've been around this game too long. I think you'll be okay. So I'm here and I'm just doing my best.
I'll just identify.
And I'm grateful to you,
before we
Paul.
wrap up. Sorry, but before we wrap up, can you run me through your outfit today? Like,
This Ian Roberts look
are
from
those
last week.
are those 3/4 long sleeve
know what?
singlets?
I-
Is that?
Josh, you're asking me, I'm trying to give you an answer. I don't usually dress like this, but I seen Ian Roberts sitting where you are last week. I thought, how good. He looked pretty cool. So I'm going to try it. So I think you like it because you've identified it.
The long sleeves.
Do you like or not?
The long sleeves normally go over the wrist,
Okay.
but like you got to pull that.
So do you like
That's a bit better.
Yeah, you gotta
Tommy
pull out
Bahama,
your-
mate. Tommy
All right.
Bahama.
Very nice.
Thank you.
very
You're
nice.
very kind,
Well, you're
Josh.
in the city, but maybe we'll go do a bit of shopping after.
We'll go do some shopping after.
Oh, your shout.
Yeah, my shirt.
All right. Thanks, mate. Love it.
Thanks,
Good
mate.
luck with everything too, mate. I really appreciate you coming in.
Pleasure, mate.
Josh,
Thanks.
thank
Good
you,
to see you,
Hubble.
boys, as always.
Thank you, Hubble.
Thank you so
Much love for you.
Much love.
Thank you.
And that's a wrap.